What's up guys, welcome back to another episode of Shonen Showdown. Today we're going to be ranking the Deuteragonists in Shonen anime from best to worst. Now as you guys can see here, we are ranking them in best to worst in terms of likability. So I'm guessing we're just going off of how great we think they are in relation to the main protagonist. If you guys don't know, the Deuteragonist is pretty much the side character that is typically second in importance to the main protagonist. Just by looking at the chart here, this is going to be very tough to start from best to worst. So I'm probably going to go worst to best. We have Killua, Inosuke, Sasuke, Vegeta, Zoro, Hiei, Gray, Bakugou, and Yuno. Let's get started. I mean, no disrespect when I say this, but at number 9, I'm going with Bakugou from My Hero Academia, y'all. Bakugou's reasons for being cold to Deku aren't really justifiable to me, if I'm being honest with you. Todoroki, on the other hand, has more of a reason to be upset and angry at the world. But when you're looking at Bakugou, who's making fun of Deku because he didn't have a quirk, it just really rubs me the wrong way when I'm watching what Bakugou is doing. Now, as a rival in terms of pushing Deku to be stronger, I think Bakugou is in the right path. Deku needs somebody like Bakugou in order to keep him on his toes, to keep evolving his techniques with the One For All, because he has somebody that he can compete with 1v1. But to be honest, Bakugou only really has one credible reason where he got upset, and I actually agreed with him, and that was when he discovered that All Might had gifted Deku his quirk. That is the only time I felt for Bakugou, because Bakugou looked up to All Might and he didn't understand why Deku was the chosen one over him, because he wanted to have that quirk passed down to him. I get it. But before then, him just bullying Deku for absolutely no reason, him being mad at the world, everybody's tight. And listen, his anger does get in the way. If Bakugou was more level-headed, he does not get kidnapped. So I'm definitely putting him at the bottom tier of my list. I think in terms of strength, he's up there, he's great. He's very fun to watch when he's fighting, but other than that, he's just mad for no reason. At number 8, I'm going with Gray Fullbuster from Fairy Tail. Now, in terms of Gray's backstory, I completely understand. You have Deli Aura literally taking out his teacher, which caused chaos between Gray and Old Tier and everybody, so I understand that completely. He happens to be one of the stronger mages in Fairy Tail. We know his Ice Maker magic was able to keep up with an END Natsu, so he is top tier as a fighter. But when I'm thinking about his dynamic with Natsu, it just really doesn't sit well with me, because they are really rivaling each other because of their elements of their powers, to be honest with you. Natsu is fire, Gray is ice, so that's really the sole connection I'm seeing on why they have a legitimate rivalry. Other than that, it just doesn't really make sense. When I'm looking at a Natsu and an Urza, I believe that there's more there for a rivalry, more there for a competition, because Urza was revered as Titania. They literally called her the queen of the fairies pretty much in Fairy Tail. People looked up to Urza in Fairy Tail because Natsu wanted to be that strong mage, and Urza was the person that was revered as one of the strongest in the guild, if not the strongest in the guild at that time. I think Urza and Natsu had more of a reason to compete against each other. I understand that Gray was angry because of his backstory, that I'll give him, but the rivalry between Natsu wasn't really sitting well with me. I liked the Natsu and Urza competitions a lot better. Doesn't mean Gray's a trash character though at all. I just think in terms of this chart, because we have so many great Deuteragonists here, he's at rank 8. At rank 7, and he moved up for me, I have Inosuke from Demon Slayer. Inosuke's likability really went up after season 2, and I don't want to hear people complaining about Inosuke being more aggressive in nature, because he has a reason to be. He was left alone, abandoned, and this is why he doesn't really have any manners and anything, but it makes sense with his backstory. Unlike Bakugou, who's just tight to be tight, he's moving up and being very important, because not only can he sense the power level of the opponents, but his beast breathing is incredible now. We've seen him boxing against Daki, and he had Daki on the ropes. Now, I understand this one's going to be a tough pill to swallow. I know the Naruto fans are going to be tight, but at number 6, I have Sasuke, which I think is reasonable. Is Sasuke a cool character? Yes, but when we're talking about ranking our Deuteragonists in terms of likability, Sasuke was a menace for multiple episodes, multiple chapters in Naruto, and you cannot deny that. Now, does he have a justifiable backstory? Absolutely. Itachi obviously took out all of the Uchiha clan and left him alone by himself. But at the same time, Naruto, who was somebody that was trying to befriend Sasuke, also had his own trials and tribulations that he went through. The third Hokage pretty much left Naruto to pretty much raise himself. Then you're having the whole village looking at Naruto as a monster because he is the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. So even though Sasuke had a family that was taken away from him, Naruto didn't even get the chance to build one because his father and mother were taken away. And this is something that I feel like Sasuke never gave Naruto the chance to really talk to him about. Sasuke poured out all his anger onto Naruto and onto Itachi in order to avenge the Uchiha clan just to find out that Itachi is actually the good guy. And he didn't even understand this until he talked to the Hokage and found out that the whole village had a whole bunch of secrets. So we get all of that. Not saying Sasuke is a trash character. That's why I don't have him at the bottom of the list. I do think he's somewhere in the middle though, because he caused a lot of his own problems as well. And if you don't believe me, who is Sasuke married to in Boruto right now? That would happen to be Sakura, the same person who he almost killed after the Danzo fight. This is how short-tempered Sasuke was at that time. He's pulling up to the 5 Kage summit, just boxing with everybody, killed off Danzo, he's going crazy. And then after he found out the secrets of the village, rather than following through with his plan to just take over everything, he decides that, oh, now I want to become Hokage, so I guess I gotta fight Naruto again. I just don't understand why Sasuke wasn't willing to cooperate with Naruto after they just boxed against Kaguya. It wasn't until Naruto literally took his arm and Naruto had to lose his arm for him to realize, you know what, I'm cool with being a Shadow Hokage. So for Sasuke, it's kind of like, what's going on here? They're obviously a rivalry that was based off of Goku and Vegeta, so we give them credit there as well. It's very nice. They were able to push each other to get stronger. Obviously, we've seen that throughout the series. But a lot of Sasuke's problems and his anger he caused onto himself later on. After he found out the truth of Konoha, he still was mad, still trying to box Naruto, and I just didn't understand it after that. But before then, I completely agree with Sasuke. So at number 5, I'm going with Yuno from Black Clover. When I think of Asta and Yuno as a duo, the first thing that comes into my mind is this is what Naruto and Sasuke could have been. Asta and Yuno are a perfect duo that show that you can work together and also compete against each other at the same time. You don't really need to kill people and go crazy over your rivalry because it makes no sense to do so when you both have a common goal. Asta and Yuno are competing to become a Wizard King, but Yuno being so great and so gifted and so talented, the fact that he got a 4-leaf grimoire just off rip shows that he's the perfect match to push Asta to new heights, because we know Asta has no magic whatsoever. Everyone looked down on Asta. Now everyone sees that, oh snap, Asta's arcane. We need Asta. Please, Asta, save us. They're seeing Asta's value now. But if it wasn't for a Yuno being so naturally gifted and so OP from the get-go, Asta wouldn't have fought as hard as he wanted to because he wouldn't have that rivalry to go against. This is what Naruto and Sasuke could have been. This is why I'm putting Yuno over Sasuke. At number 4, y'all, I'm going with Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, just looking at the chart, a lot of these deuteragonists tend to have a more angry side to them to kind of counteract the main protagonist. But Hiei's situation is different. Yusuke's already built like that. Yusuke's already somebody that was already aggressive in nature. But you're having Hiei added on top of that, who's another tier of aggressive in nature. And what makes Hiei special is that he has a valid reason to be. The man was literally dropped off the cliff as a baby. When Hiei was a baby, they thought, oh snap, he's cursed. Just throw him off the cliff. What? But what made Hiei's character so beautiful is that he was able to develop through something as gruesome as that. He allowed even Kuwabara and Yukino to form some type of relationship here and there, even though he loathed the humans, even though Yukino at some point did not even respect any of the humans because they were trying to finesse her for her tears, for gems, and Hiei was still able to find it somewhere in his heart to come and work with a Yusuke, work with a Kuwabara, even though he really did not want to. And we've seen this especially happen before the Sensui fight. Hiei checked on Yusuke. He fought with him just to see, all right, are you rusty? Are you ready to go through with this? The demon world is opening up in the human world, and Yusuke made sure to call him out on it because he knows that Hiei is not the person to really show much emotion. But he knew what that message was. Hiei was still looking out for Yusuke. He still has love for Yusuke. He still has love for everybody. And this is somebody that has all the reason in the world to not like anybody. Out of everybody on that chart, Hiei has a reason to not like anybody. At number 3, I have to go with Vegeta, y'all. Vegeta definitely has a reason to be assertive, more aggressive in nature than a Goku because he was the Prince of all Saiyans. Everybody told him that he was next up, that he was ridiculously powerful, and Vegeta had no other thing to really look to and just believe into what he was told. I mean, he was promised this, but then he just goes down to earth to realize that he's not even the strongest Saiyan, that there's a Saiyan that happens to be a lower class Saiyan in rank in a Kakarot, aka Goku, who's able to overpower him time and time again, and not just Goku achieving Super Saiyan for the first time, but Gohan actually ends up achieving Super Saiyan 2. So Gohan, who happens to be Goku's son, happens to be stronger than a Vegeta, and Vegeta has to witness these lower class Saiyans achieving something that he worked his whole life to achieve, and he couldn't even get to that power level. This is completely understandable. Vegeta has all the reason to be angry at the world, but we have to understand that Vegeta has some hiccups along the way that I will hold against him. Now, there's two moments that are keeping Vegeta from being number one on this list for me. Vegeta in the Broly movie. That was the first time I've ever seen Vegeta just look completely defeated before he even threw one punch. I was not a fan of that at all. It looked bad. Even Piccolo was looking down on him. Piccolo was looking down on Vegeta. That is bad news. But again, you know what? That movie happened to be filler, so okay, you know what, Vegeta, you got that. But then we have to look at Majin Vegeta, y'all, and this is a major problem. You allow Babidi to reawaken the evil within your heart so you can box with Goku for another time. You want to fight Goku at his most powerful so you can prove that you are stronger than him. However, Goku tells you during the fight that he senses that this fight is going the wrong way, that Majin Buu is gaining this energy from the fight and he's about to be revived. Goku is no longer focused on the fight, and rather than Vegeta just following through with his words and saying, you know what, this fight, nothing's gonna really happen from it, you're not focused, I'm not focused, let's work together to take down Majin Buu, you decide to knock Goku out and then go box with Majin Buu, proving that you can't even beat him, and then you have to blow yourself up. It just makes no sense at all, no sense whatsoever. Now, I understand the final atonement was probably the biggest character development point for Vegeta, so I guess it was somewhat necessary, because after Final Atonement, Vegeta realized that the anger in his heart was actually hindering him from being greater than he wanted to be. But was it necessary for planet Earth to get sacrificed in the process of Vegeta figuring this out? I don't think so. So that is a hiccup that I will hold against Vegeta, which will make him not my number one, but he's still really up there because he inspired the whole Sasukes and the Yunos and everybody. Vegeta is an inspiration for many of these Deuteragonists on this chart, but he ain't two. At two, I'm going with the great Roronoa Zoro of the Straw Hat Pirates. When I think of Zoro, I think of two things: loyal and goal-oriented. And these are two things that Luffy definitely needs in his first mate, because Roronoa Zoro is in conversation for the most loyal Straw Hat. All the things that Zoro has done for Luffy is incredible. Now, a quick side note, I'm gonna say that Jinbei deserves some love too. It's insane how many of you guys give praise to Zoro for doing great things, but when Jinbei does it, everybody sleep. I don't understand it. Give some respect to Jinbei, because Jinbei is in that conversation as well for most loyal Straw Hat. But for right now, we gotta give Zoro love. Zoro got it. Now let's understand Zoro's importance to the Straw Hat crew. He offsets Luffy's chaos. Luffy, we know he's goal-oriented as well. He loves to have fun, but he also loves to box. He knows when it's time to get serious, but his leadership skills can be shaky, but not Zoro's. Zoro is somebody that makes sure that he holds other crew members accountable. We've seen this in the Luffy versus Usopp. He threatened to even walk away from the crew if Luffy didn't get his act together, and he just let Usopp just walk in and out of the crew as he pleased. This is who Zoro is. He's a perfect counter to Luffy's goofiness, his chaos. He's able to keep Luffy in check, and he's a great fighter as well. Zoro is looking to be the world's strongest swordsman. He trained under Mihawk, and we've seen him boxing against some top tier opponents. Now he has Conqueror's Haki just like his captain. We have to put Zoro at number two, but he's not Killua. Killua is the greatest Deuteragonist on this chart by far. You guys don't understand. Gon and Killua are in conversation to be the best duo in all of anime, hands down. These two have it all figured out. Now, when we look at Killua's backstory, justifiable. He was screwed over many times, tortured by his family members. Obviously, Killua is the only person that Alucard would trust, because the rest of the family is shot to hell, and he also is the sole reason why Gon is still alive to this day. He is the perfect Deuteragonist. He's a great rival because he will compete with Gon to make sure that Gon gets stronger, stays up on his toes, but he's also there for Gon emotionally. The reason why I say that is because they play off of each other's strengths and weaknesses. And this is something that a lot of the Deuteragonists on this chart don't do. Because Gon happens to be more emotional than Killua, he tends to go overboard, but Killua, being more emotionally intelligent than a Gon, is able to check him, make sure he's good, make sure he's all right. And we've seen him literally have Alluka save Gon's life. His connection to Alluka gives him pretty much a cheat code in the Hunter x Hunter verse. This is a perfect Deuteragonist for Gon. So you guys heard my rankings. I want to see yours down in the comment section below. Which characters would you rank from best to worst? And with that, I'll see you next time. Peace.